Mechanical Mod by Council of Vapor. What's up everyone? This is SpinFuel's Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be looking at this beautiful mod I have right here in my hand, the Kindred by Council of Vapor. Alright, so real quick I just want to give a huge shout out to Eve eLiquids who sent me this device for the purpose of review, so big thanks to them and Council of Vapor. First we're going to go over some of the specs of this mod, then we're going to break it down, get up close and personal, check it all out. Then I'm going to build it back up, vape on it, and give you the pros and cons and my final verdict. So first up, the specs of this device. It's made of 304 food grade stainless steel. It does feature 3 separate tubes for 18350, 18500, and 18650 batteries. It's 510 threaded, and the connector pins are silver plated copper, so it gives you great conductivity there. The firing button is recessed and it has a locking mechanism, so it's super safe, and it has little grooves cut out here, so it makes it a little bit more comfortable in your hand and a little bit easier to fire. It has a 2-piece magnetic switch, and this thing is a beast. For a stainless steel mod, especially at the price point that it's at, it just chucks the clouds. So real quick, before we go to the up close portion of this video, I want to show you some vapor production. I'm rocking a 0.3 ohm dual stovetop coil in my Still Air clone, so let's just have a quick vape. Not too bad for a stainless steel mod. Alright, so we have all the pieces laid out in front of us. We're going to go over every little thing from the top cap all the way down to the firing button. So let's start off with the top section. So here we have the top cap section. It's made out of a big solid chunk of brass. The threads are buttery smooth. This silver plated copper battery connectors here. Not too much wiggle in them. They are reverse threaded, so when you put your atomizer on this thing, you tighten them down to fit your atomizer. Then you loosen this bottom one here to adjust to your battery size, whether you're using a button top or a flat top battery. It's set up to use both, and these are really good because I like that they're reverse threaded, so you don't loosen one while you tighten the other, and vice versa. As you can see, the insulator on there, it's big and chunky. So here we have the 3 middle sections designed for 18350, 18500, and 18650 batteries. When using an 18650 battery, you need to use 2 of these tubes to account for the length of the battery. These are made out of 304 grade stainless steel, which is food grade. Here we can see the engraving. This is the Kindred logo, which is really cool, very intricate. I love the detail in this thing, and the engraving is really subtle, so you don't even notice it when you run your hand across it, which I like a lot. I don't like deep engravings where it's going to feel a little bit weird in your hand. And this is the Council of Vapor logo with the serial number underneath. And as you can see here, this is the top portion of the 2-piece magnetic switch. That's the magnet right there. You can see it. It's pretty big. Definitely one of the bigger magnetic switches I own, and it does function quite well, and it's surrounded by a big insulator there. Hopefully you can see it in the inside. I believe those are also silver plated, so the contacts on this thing are going to be very conductive. So as I said before, the threads are really buttery smooth. This thing goes together really easily, just like that. Here we have the bottom portion of our mod. It has the second part of the magnetic switch, the firing button, as well as the locking mechanism. As you can see here, there's the other part of the magnet, which definitely very strong. And here are the vent holes in case your battery starts venting gases. You're protected. And here's the bottom part of the firing button and the switch. As you can see, another slight engraving on there. And here's the locking mechanism. It's reverse threaded, so you're not gonna untwist one thing while you're twisting in another. That's full safe. Your button's not gonna be able to be pushed anymore. So here you can see that slight indentation on both sides, similar to the 4.9 mod. Just makes it more comfortable to fire, a little bit easier to fire. So let's put it all back together and I'll show you the whole thing. So as I stated before, all the threads on this thing are completely buttery smooth. I have really no problem with the threads at all. And it came to me in immaculate shape. All the little dings and scratches you see are just from normal wear and tear. Since this thing has a slight brushed finish, it's not going to really collect a ton of fingerprints, which is cool. As you can see, I have it in 18650 mode, which is what I normally am going to use this as. The button only works properly when it's all put back together. As you can see here, nice and springy, but there's no spring in there. It's all magnetic. The weight of this thing is 6 ounces in 18650 mode. The overall height is 4.5 inches, just about 4.5 inches, and the width is 7/8 of an inch or 23 millimeters. The overall look and feel of it is it's a little bit weighty, but it's definitely really gorgeous. I like the way this thing looks. Alright, so let's go back to the main screen, pop an atomizer back on here, and have a quick vape and talk about it some more. Alright, so that was the close-up portion. Let's have a couple vapes and then we'll get into the pros and the cons. So with the 23 millimeter width of this device, it's a little bit annoying for me because none of my devices fit nice and flush with it. I'm going to just pop this still air off real quick and show you a few of the different devices and how they look on it. So first of all, we're going to start with the air stripper that I received also from Council of Vapor. Alright, so here's the air stripper on top. As you can see, the stainless steel with the slight brushed look matches this device perfectly. The width, you can barely tell the difference, but there is a slight ridge here at the top of this brass piece right here. It looks overall pretty good. This thing, for being a stainless steel mod, fires up real nice. The conductivity is great because of the silver connectors in there. Let's just have a quick vape on this one. So here's the Stratos replaceable coil atomizer that Council Vapor also sent me. That's coming up in a future review, so stay tuned for that. But as you can see here, it's slightly wider than the mod itself. It's a polished stainless as opposed to the brushed stainless on the mod, so it doesn't quite match up as well. I'd also like to note that they do make a brass version of the Stratos, so it might actually match a little bit nicer with this device. And this is using the 0.8 ohm coil that they sent me. So let's do a quick puff on this thing. And finally, here we have the Vulcan Rda on top. Right now, with this setup, it is almost 6.5 inches tall. This thing is overall height is pretty enormous for me. That's why I haven't really been using the Vulcan on top of here so much lately. But let's just give a quick cloud video. Alright, so let's get to some pros and cons. My first pro is going to be the fact that this thing fires like a beast for being a stainless steel mod. It really comes down to the silver-plated copper contacts, the thickness of it, and the magnetic firing button. All those factors combined lead to a lower voltage drop, and the voltage drop on this thing is 0.012 volts, which is really good for stainless steel. This is one of the best stainless steel mods I've ever used. And as far as the magnets, another pro is going to be how strong the magnets are and the action of the fire button. It's really easy to push. Not too much resistance, but just enough so that it's safe even when you're just laying on the table and you don't have the lock ring on. It's not going to go off accidentally. Even if you're doing a side fire, it still fires up every single time. I never got a misfire with this thing. The overall look and feel of this device is definitely a pro in my book. Really like the engravings. They're not very intrusive. You know, you don't really feel them when you're just holding the mod. And just the stainless steel matched with the brass, and even the way it patinas down is really gorgeous. So that's a huge pro in my book. My final pro is going to be the price point of this mod. I've seen it go for around $89.99 online, and that's really great for anyone that's looking into getting their first authentic without spending a ton of money. And this thing is definitely a beast for what it's worth every penny in my opinion. Alright, let's get to the cons. My first con is going to be the fact that this thing is 23 millimeters as opposed to 22, which most of my Addies are. I just like that really nice flush feel to it, and that little ridge at the top just bugs the heck out of me. That's a personal opinion. It might not be a con in your book, so don't let that get you down about this device. My next con is the fact that you need two separate tubes to account for the battery length of an 18650. I understand the need for using smaller batteries and stuff like that. People don't necessarily want to use an 18650, but that's mostly what I use. I'm probably never going to put an 18500 in this thing or an 18350. So as you can see here, the firing button is recessed slightly, just like the 4.9 mod or the iHybrid, something like that. And on those mods, it is a slightly larger dip in here where you can fit your finger nice and comfortably. Not really a huge fan of that. I wish they would have made it a little bit deeper so it would be a little more comfortable in your hand. Another con is going to have to be the locking mechanism and the firing button setup. Not a huge fan of the way that this thing locks, and sometimes when you lock it and then you unlock it, your button starts to protrude like that. I really wish they would have added something in there that will keep that button connected and tight no matter what. Because right now I can just spin it to the left and it's going to come right out, and with the locking ring the way it is, it's going to make that button come out every single time you lock it. So just be aware of that. Keep your button tight at all times. My next con is the fact that this thing is a beast. It weighs 6 ounces without the battery in it, without the atomizer on top. So you're adding a couple ounces right there. I don't mind a heavy mod, but this thing is enormous. I mean, this thing weighs a ton in my opinion. So the final thing I want to mention today is whether or not I would purchase this device if I didn't receive it for free for the purpose of review. And my answer is both yes and no. Yes, in the fact that at the price point of $89.99, this thing is a steal. For an authentic mod, that's a really great deal, and for anyone that's looking to get into their first authentic, I would definitely recommend it. Now, if this thing was at the price point of $150, I would have to say no. There are nicer mods out there for that price point, and me personally, if I was going to spend that kind of money, I would look for something with a single tube for an 18650, maybe a slightly lighter device, 22 millimeters wide, maybe a copper or something like that. So there are better devices out there for the $150 price point that I have seen it at, but you can find them out there for $89.99. That's my review on the Council of Vapor Kindred mod. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Check out www.spinfuel.com for more videos from me, Smokin' Joey, and the Vapor Trail channel. And as always, vape on.